Hey everyone, welcome back to the SCOM channel and our weekly encouragement video. This past weekend, I stepped outside my home and quickly realized how cold the temperature was. Although I have a warm home to return into, I know many people are without permanent shelter and are going through the challenge of staying warm during the cold winter months. Thankfully, there are outreach ministries who are well connected in the local communities who can provide assistance and share God's love. But let's take a look at how we, as Scarborough Community Alliance Church, can share in Jesus' heart for the lost and poor. In 2 Corinthians chapter 8, Paul presents a beautiful picture of how the opportunity and willingness to be generous is a gift from the grace of God. Paul was raising money to help the Christians in Jerusalem who were very poor. The churches in Macedonia were also very poor, and Paul is using their example of giving to encourage the Corinthian Christians. In 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 1 to 6, in the NLT, it reads, "I want you to know, dear brothers and sisters, what God in His kindness has done through the churches in Macedonia. They are being tested by many troubles, and they are very poor, for they are also filled with abundant joy, which has overflowed in rich generosity. For I can testify that they gave not only what they could afford, but far more, and they did it of their own free will. They begged us again and again for the privilege of sharing in the gift for the believers in Jerusalem. They even did more than we had hoped, for their first action was to give themselves to the Lord and to us, just as God wanted them to do. So we have urged Titus, who encouraged your giving in the first place, to return to you and encourage you to give, to finish this ministry of giving." The example of the churches in Macedonia can encourage our church as well. In verse 2 to 4, we see that the Macedonian Christians didn't have a lot to give, but they really wanted to give and even begged Paul to receive their gift. This kind of rich generosity happened because the Macedonian Christians first gave their lives to God. Then generosity overflowed to others. Paul's encouragement is for us to give our lives to God. And when we do so, our giving will overflow. And giving is an experience filled with joy, and it proves our love for God. But remember, before we even had a chance, an opportunity to give our lives to God, Christ gave His life for us when Jesus died on the cross for our salvation and redemption from the penalty of sin. Now let us continue to read verse 7 to 9. "Since you excel in so many ways in your faith, your gifted speakers, your knowledge, your enthusiasm, and your love from us, I want you to excel also in this gracious act of giving. I am not commanding you to do this, but I am testing how genuine your love is by comparing it with the eagerness of the other churches. You know the generous grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. Though He was rich, yet for your sake He became poor, so that by His poverty He could make you rich." I can hear Paul's words of encouragement if he spoke at SCOM. We excel in our faith, speakers, knowledge, enthusiasm, and our love. Now I want you to excel also in the gracious act of giving. Generosity is an expression of our love for God. It shows that we understand what God has done for us, and our natural response is to want to give back. Now, many great things are happening at our church this year. And as you may have heard, love in action is our overarching theme at SCOM. And it has been encouraging to see our church mobilize to care for brothers and sisters and serve our greater community for the glory of God. Love in action is an expression of the gospel. Our generosity shows others the giving heart of God. Jesus was surrounded constantly by glory, power, and majesty of God in heaven before he became poor on earth, so that we can share in Jesus' eternal heaven. Finally, let's not forget to give ourselves to God first. Our giving is motivated by our love for God. Then when you see the needs of others, we know that we have an opportunity to give generously and share in Jesus' heart for the lost and poor. Thank you for checking in on our weekly encouragement video. I hope you have a blessed week ahead.